Hello, my dear friends. Best greetings from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. My name is Victor Fursov. I am research entomologist, beekeeper, and teacher, and this is my channel devoted to insects and science about insects entomology. So today we will be talking about insects, very special one, not about polite, cute, and adorable insects, as you may think, like some insects in collection. You do like collect maybe butterflies, maybe you do collect moths. You enjoy tiny, cute insects, which are very beautiful, which are looks very nice, adorable, lovely, and they're not dangerous at all. But today we will be talking about wasps, about bees, not about butterflies, not about moths, but about slightly dangerous creatures, which are wasps. What kind of wasp we can say? Actually, you can see here in front of me, opposite of me, the poster with big insects of big size, but which are originally very small, very tiny, like plankton, and they are parasitic wasps of a family called seed wasps, Calcideidae. So these are calcid wasps, which are parasitoids of different another insects. So the larvae developing inside eggs, larvae, pupae, even sometimes adults of another insects. Sometimes they are even predaceous on another creatures. Sometimes they are parasitizing not only insects but also spiders. They can eat even nematodes. Larvae can eat, but adults were eating just nectar on flowers. So they are phytophagous and they are parasitic because they are developing inside or on the body of other insects or in other invertebrates. So these are parasitoids. Parasitoids were very special. They're killing the so-named host, the creature which they are feeding on. This can be either larva of insect, adult of insect, or maybe another invertebrate like spider or eggs of spiders, for instance. So that's why they're parasitoids. So one group of insects were also called parasitic wasps. They're not so big wasps. Some of them can be little, even big, 20 millimeters, even 30 millimeters with long ovipositor. So especially in the family Ichneumonidae, in other superfamily Ichneumonidae wasps, which were all belonging to the order Hymenoptera. And we will be talking about not about bees. These are also belonging to Hymenoptera, but they are not parasitic. Some of bees can be parasitic, but majority of them were feeding on nectar and some other substances. As I told about parasitoids, I can show you this atlas with these photographs, not with photographs, with drawings of the same parasitoids, and they're called parasitic wasps. As I called you before, they're developing either on the body or inside the body of egg, larva, pupa, or even adult of the host subject which we are feeding on. So there are quite a lot of them. This atlas about different beneficial insects which are living especially in fruit orchards in Ukraine and in other countries. But what about wasps? To talk about wasps, I use this book of Gary Bolton and Jan Gold, the Hymenoptera. And here I will cite some sentences about wasps because they are belonging to a separate group, not Parasitica, Hymenoptera parasitica, as I said, but parasitoids, but they are belonging to Hymenoptera aculeate, which can be stinging insects. Why aculeate? Aculeate, this is a group of Hymenopteras insects, and they changed function of Hymenoptera's function of ovipositor from egg placing device. Ovipositor was egg placing device to the development of a special venom transmitting weapon as a sting for hunting, defense, and aggression, and for the stinging. So, have you been stung with the sting of wasps? If you have been, so you know that's very unpleasant. So all aculeates, they use special sting for defense, aggression, and for the sting. In there are many superfamilies and families of wasps, predaceous wasps, which are included to a group of aculeate. So we called about Parasitica, Hymenoptera, which include Parasitica and phytophagous wasps, parasitoids, and here aculeate wasps. They can sting, but they also lay eggs for sure. The function of location, the egg has developed on the apical gastral segments. So the eggs emerge at the base of the sting and does not pass through doesn't pass through the ovipositor or the sting. So that's why in Parasitica, egg is going through the ovipositor, and in aculeate creatures, wasps and bees, egg laid just at the base of a sting. Which superfamilies are included in the group of aculeate? These are different groups of wasps. These are Chrysididae wasps, chrysid wasps. And we have also Vespidae, Scoloidae, Formicoidae, and Pompilidae, and Opoidae bees, Betylidae. And how do they name in common names? They have very special names. For sure, Apidae, these are bees, and Formicidae. Social wasps, these are Vespidae, mud wasps, Eumenidae, ruby wasps or cuckoo wasps, Chrysididae. They're stealing the food from another wasps and bees, so they can be considered as cuckoo wasps. And velvet wasps of the family Mutilidae, and for sure spider wasps of the family Pompilidae. Not all families have common names like Betylidae, Betyloidae superfamily. We can say just Betylid wasps. This book has a wonderful morphological pictures of different groups of wasps, but today we will be talking about them, and I'll show you some groups of wasps in the collection, not only bees, but in the collection also some wasps. And by the way, some wasps are not only dangerous, some of wasps included in some special manuals and books for their defense, for protection. Yes, some wasps are not defending themselves because of their sting. Human beings, just society, different countries, communities, should defend, should protect some wasps, which are rare, some and disappearing species. For instance, in Ukraine, there are three editions of Red Book of Protected Species of Insects. This is the third edition of Червона книга України, Red Book of Ukraine of Protected Species of Insects and Invertebrates, and some vertebrates as well. But I will talk about fish and so on, birds and so on. About wasps. What about wasps? Here, for instance, in the beginning of the list with insects, we have two species. This is a Sapiga, yellow colored, and this on the ground. Here, this is a mammoth moth. Mammoth Scolia wasps. Sapiga, belonging to the family Sapigidae, and it's distributed in the south part of Ukraine and in Crimea. Sometimes was found even near Dnieper River. I have not seen the Sapiga myself in the nature, only in the collection here. And Scolia quadrimaculata, protected species included in a red book, which has a wide distribution through Ukraine. Scolia galbula, Scolia kluge, Kalpa kluge. Dicelia zonalis of a family Vespidae, the same social wasps. Dicelia were quite very rare. Sarantes abbreviatus, tauricus, Eumenes tripunctatus, Onychopterulus palasa. For some species even, we have no good photo, no good specimen, so rare species. Only just drawing, like this yellow picture of wasp, which is under protection of the law and included in the list of species in this book with protected species and disappearing species of insects. And here one is very interesting species which I do like very much, which is quite rare, but which has very special name, Lara anathema, from the family Crabronidae, which is attacking this one, Lara anathema. Also quite rare species, parasitic insect which attack Horilla talpa, mole cricket. So mole cricket is quite a big one species. So you can imagine that this is Lara anathema is attacking mole cricket, Horilla talpa, and laying eggs on adult of Horilla talpa and under the ground. So larva is developing under the ground and emerging on the next year. So, but these are parasitic species of wasp which are making the nest for protection of the larvae. Parasitoids, they do not make, like these species, they do not make any nests for their protection. Quite interesting that many wasps can be dangerous because of their possibility to sting, as we say, especially social wasps of a family Vespidae and superfamily Vespidae. For sure, you know, social insects like bees, wonderful bees were here in the collection. They are bees. Here we have just the line of the queens, the line of drones, with big drones, and line of workers of bees. But here we have also two lines of wasps, wasp of Vespidae and Scoliidae, Vespa crabro, European species of wasp, very common one, which is stinging, which is hunting for another insect, and sometimes can be dangerous if can be near the humans. Okay, this is another drawing with wasps here. Big wasp, Scoliidae, Scolia maculata. Here, big wasp, queen, males and workers of a European hornet. And here, the lines of drones. Drones very common for sure in the summertime, in June, in beekeeping farms. So that's why I collected it just for presentation, for exhibition, for during some lectures for students. What's about wasps? Why they are dangerous? Why they can sting? And who can sting? Well, you need to separate. There are some solitary wasps. They can sting. but they sting their prey, they sting their host, which they are developing on. And they have different size. Sometimes cicada killer wasp is pretty big one. Cicada of its family Crabronidae. Cicada killer wasp quite a big, the same sizes, which is distributed in the United States and North America. I don't have it here. The killer wasp is killing cicada and bringing cicada to the nest. But social wasps were making nest for breeding the larvae. For that, social wasps, especially for family Vespidae, like here, are making social nest. The family of Scoliidae, like Scolia maculata, solitary wasps, they never make a nest. They're hiding their prey under the ground, despite they're big. They look very dangerous because they're hairy, and they can sting if you bring it in your hands and will push on the abdomen with your fingers. Scolia maculata, quadrimaculata will sting you for sure, but not always, like with the queen, like the queen of honeybee. Queen of honeybee can sting, but never sting usually, because she used sting only for fighting with another queen during her life cycle. The same Scoliidae wasps, they use the sting for their life cycle for stinging their prey or the larva of rhinoceros beetle. Rhinoceros beetle, you can find a rhinoceros beetle somewhere in a village. Sabati. I was always thinking that rhinoceros are living only in a village, somewhere under the mud, just near some places where you use animals and straw. So in these places, under the ground, there are some larvae of big rhinoceros beetles. But even in Kiev, the big city with 2 million population, rhinoceros beetles are living in sleeping areas, like in my area here, nearby. Sometimes I can collect in the summertime some rhinoceros beetles, but just by case, near the stubs of trees, near the basement of trees, because rhinoceros are feeding underground on roots of rotating roots of trees or cut trees, and in May, in beginning of June, they're just hatching, emerging, and flying around. So that's why these solitary bees, Scoliidae, they are flying only in the beginning of June, at least the middle of June in our area. Before emergence of rhinoceros beetles. Initially we can find, because they're hatching earlier, initially we are hatching males, and you can see near the stubs of trees just flying near on very low distance near the ground, some wasps very actively. Sometimes they're swarming and fighting, but these are not social wasps. For sure, these are Scolia wasps, especially if they're swarming and fighting. That means they are fighting for the female, because the males of Scolia maculata, they do like fighting between them. Oh, we can see some questions like, what can be advice about manual about insects in our area? Very good questions. For that, you can type some questions on YouTube, not on YouTube, where you can see stories for entertainment. You can find many books and download tons of books, dozens of books, even hundreds of books from internet. If you can search it properly with keywords, you can type keywords, and so download PDF in Russian, in Ukrainian, in English, in French, in German language, and internet will show you some websites with libraries like Gutenberg Library with English books and many others libraries in different languages where you can download free of charge books about insects for identification and some atlases for entertainment. Yes, so question in English and yes. So this is the answer. Check internet. What about books? I had another video on my channel. So search books about and on entomology subject on my channel, and you can find long list of books which I can advise and websites where you can download. Because today we have a stream about wasps. So you have understood that we have social wasps like Vespidae and solitary wasps like Scolidae. And about velutina in Ukraine. Nobody knows about it, but I can show you. Not velutina. Velutina I have in collection. I have in collection velutina, but initially I show you how the social was living by. Social was, this is European hornet, and this is a small part of nest of European hornet, which I just extracted from the nest, and for the collection I did this pinned workers and pinned queens of different specimens of Vespa crabro. I have a collection also of Vespa velutina, which I got from France for collection dead specimens. And this is the question, how do they live? Social wasps were making the nest from the beginning of the spring, and start the colony is going to be from the just one individual, one specimen of a queen. Here, the biggest one, I have here several queens. Here, males, and here the big one, female queen. Other workers were also female, but were not laying eggs usually. At the presence of a queen, they never lay eggs. In absence, some cases, Hymenoptera wasps can lay eggs, but this is exceptional situation. And also they produce only males. But female lay fertilized eggs, and they are developing in queens, and they're developing in workers, and not fertilized eggs developing into males. Males are not stinging. You can very easily take male in hands, and I showed it already on my channel, without danger, because males has only males genitale and no sting. All Hymenoptera insects, they have males with no sting. The males are not stinging. All the others here, queen, and also workers of Vespa crabro, European hornet, are stinging. And how do they live? I show you, don't worry about it. I show you not living nest at the moment, but I show you the nest in the collection because I have a box with my wasps, which I extracted from the natural conditions. So you can see here, these are cells. This is a cellulose for foundation, as you can say. So foundation is usually part for honeybees, but this is paper foundation for European hornet. Here with white cocoons of wasps, and all of them were attached together in a big ball like that. And several layers like that have been joined together by separate small sticks. So, and they have been covered with layers of paper, because European hornet and another species of hornets, they produce nest somewhere in a hidden place usually, especially European hornet do like to hide somewhere under the ground, underground place, under the tree, under the roof of house, and up making special nest with several layers like this. And the top of one, this one was on the top, has a special like roots, like special sticks on the top for attachment to the roof. Everything has been joined together between them was a kind of a wasp space, like a bee space was between them. Were like two sizes of wasps because they are moving between all these foundations, between all these plates. Here all these cocoons, because larvae developing inside these paper cells, and I extracted them because they will be rotating, but some of them dried, so that's why they dried here. And here you can see white cocoons, silky cocoons inside paper cells. Size pretty big, and this one is also just full of completely developed larvae and pupae. I dried them under the sunshine, and I keep them inside the box for protection against some beetles, some dangerous beetles which can eat it. So that's why I'm very careful about it. You cannot keep it on open situation because some predators, some saprophagous insects, some beetles like honeybees beetles will come, or dermestid beetles, and will feed on remnants of all insects here inside cells. So all these cells produced from the cellulose from the paper. And who is making paper? Wasps, adults making this paper. They're chewing with their mandibles on the mouth parts. They're chewing cellulose from trees, from the bark of trees, and making these cells. All the adults, workers, drones, and queens, they're feeding on nectar and sometimes pieces on the juice from meat, and also workers were feeding on some juice from exchange with larvae, because when larvae here on the pupa, but when it was empty, cocoon was empty and there was no cocoon, larvae are sitting here, and wasps are coming here inside, bringing the piece of food, like piece of meat, and feeding the larva. Larva exchanging with some extraction, with some liquid, some fluid from the mouth parts, and happy wasps, hornets, they're just consuming, this liquid from the larvae. So they're exchanging, following to a process so-called trophallaxis, exchange by liquid, exchange by food, trophallaxis, which is special also for ants. Trophallaxis exchange between individuals of ants in the nest of ants. But here trophallaxis between larvae of hornets or wasps and other wasps and their adults feeding workers. So workers are crowding here around, they're bringing the food from another workers and feeding all larvae inside the cells. All construction is very complicated with different layers like that, and it's gathered all together like a ball, like a big ball with different size. With this size is like a normal saucer ball, but sometimes for big colony, the saucer ball can be quite big, even bigger, which is especially characteristic for Vespa velutina, small Asian hornet, which we'll be talking later. Because in this nest, I'm collected personally about 200 queens in one nest and 450 workers. So all colony was about 600 individuals, 600 specimens for whole pretty big colony of European hornet. But Vespa velutina nest can be even quite bigger, like this size, huge size, which will weigh up to 16 kilograms, 10 kilograms, so 16 kilograms can be for Vespa velutina. And here, these are remnants of paper, but these are remnants of cover and paper from another nest. And I show you this one. Hornets, big wasp, but other small wasps like social wasp, like Paravespula, are making smaller nest. Yes, this nest also small, quite small, but it was underground nest with this covering, covered with this paper. So I just open it. So this piece of paper with several layers of paper around. But also here, attach some plates, several plates, 1, 2, 3, 4 plates. Between them some stalks. And all this nest was just under the ground. By the way, is the apiary of my friend Vasil Priatelenko. If you are interested in beekeeping, you can watch my video about beekeeping on my channel. We collected it just near the beehive, just under maybe 30 centimeters under the ground, because I digged the soil and take it off very carefully, because it was autumn time and all wasps already disappeared, because in autumn time social wasp was spreading around in the search of hibernation place. What does it mean? As I said, I will show you this small wasp of another species. This is a Vespa crabro, European hornet, and this is German yellow jacket. So Paravespula germanica. Paravespula germanica, small yellow jackets. The small one. And I heard another one. No. And some species are making very small nest with a little bit different structure. They're belonging to another group. So you see here, in a close distance. I can show you like that. Yes. Enjoy the structure of wasp. These are cells, paper cells, and cells with white cocoons. Backside, attachment to the roof. This is attachment to the roof. And this one with dyed pupa inside, so you can understand that we have pupa inside. You can hear the sounds. These are dried, like peanuts, like seeds, like lotus seeds. You see here dried pupins, dried larvae inside this paper cells and inside these silky cocoons. So I started to tell you about life cycle. What about the life cycle of these wasps? As I said, the life of wasps starts in the springtime. Just from the one queen. Not one queen, but several, maybe dozens, hundreds queens. They are spreading everywhere around in a forest, in a field, and they are searching for a suitable place to live. And they start with a colony from very small size, just from the 1, 2, 3 cells in a suitable place. For European hornet, it can be hidden place, as I said, under the ground or just inside the roof, under the roof, in a hidden place. Yes, but during the summertime, nest is growing, increasing in the size, and becoming pretty big one, as I said, up to this saucer ball, or just even a bigger one, up to 10 kilos sometimes. But what happens later? In the late autumn, in the late summer, beginning of autumn, some drones and some new queens are coming from the cells, because queen started to lay eggs, fertilized and unfertilized. From fertilized eggs, some queens will be growing, other workers feeding them with extreme quality of food, so they will be bigger size, and they're queens. And from another cells will be coming from unfertilized eggs, which laid queen, will come drones, males. So after that, they're hatching, they're crawling inside the nest, inside the social nest, and they're just coming out of the nest in the nature, and in many cases they're mating in a very close distance near the home nest. I've seen it just myself near the nest, where we were mating near the house infested with European hornet. So possibly they can mate even inside the nest, but I'm not quite sure about it. It's difficult to make such kind of careful observations. After mating, males can return back to the home nest, or they can die somewhere in the nature. And queens, mated queens, they're spreading, they're flying out of the home nest. They're not returning back like honeybees queens. Honeybee queens, after mating, should return back to the home nest, and will be about making situation with different consequences, maybe fighting with a previous old queen. But in this case, old queen doesn't fight with new young queens, and because the mated young queens were flying out of a home nest. They're flying out of a home nest, and they're hiding somewhere underground between old leaves in the soil, or maybe sometimes in case in rotating wood or under the bark of trees. So after that, they're just sleeping. They're hibernating in hidden place, like under the bark of tree or in the soil. So an old queen inside this parental nest as a parent of all these many queens, like 200 queens or even more, 250, 300 queens can hatch from the big nest. The old queen just dying in the late autumn because low temperature are coming. In September is good temperature, in October, in November, cold temperature is low temperature is coming, and cold becoming. So workers already not coming for the food. They are not exchanging by the food substances like nectar, water, and so on. So that's why workers are dying slowly, and queens from an old nest, mated or unmated, were spreading around in the search of males, especially fertilized and mated queens were flying around, flying outside of the nest and hiding for hibernation. This is about their fortune. But what about another species of this strange wasps? Yes, I promised to tell you about Vespa velutina. There are some species which are not usual for native areas. For instance, in Europe, we had 10 years ago, 15 years ago, only one species, Vespa crabro, European hornet. But at the present time, there are 3 species in Spain, in France, in Italy. We have another 2 species which came just from the Mediterranean region, probably from Turkish Republic or some Asian countries. This one species Vespa orientalis, the same size as the European hornet, but more yellowish color. The same size, quite a big one, quite dangerous because also can sting. Very curious about different food, because adults are bringing different food like meat of insects or meat of some animals, sometimes even meat of fish from sticks, from dried fish. So we are bringing meat substances, and we are bringing also sometimes fruits for feeding, small pieces of fruits with juice of fruits. That's why adults can damage some, in many cases, fruits like peaches, pears, apples, sweet pears, sweet apricots, so can make a damage. And they can bring also some honeybees, because they can hunt for honeybees. But Vespa orientalis is native species for Turkish Republic, for some Arabic countries in Mediterranean region, but appeared in France 2 years ago. But another species, which is very important, Vespa velutina, small Asian hornet, appeared about already 10 years ago in France, and now spread already in Spain, in Belgium, even was found in Britain, northern Italy, in Brussels, even some individuals were collected in Germany. And during the current strange situation with military activities of aggressor against Ukraine, there is a lot of activities in transportation and difficult control of transportation. So probably this Vespa velutina, small Asian hornet, can gradually move from the direction of Spain, France, Italy, Germany, in the direction of Ukraine. So that's why we can suggest that in the nearest few years, Vespa velutina can come to Ukraine and some other countries near Ukraine, going to the east, coming to the Europe from the east, from the China probably, or from Middle Asia, or maybe from Cambodia, from Vietnam. We don't know precisely the origin in France. You can suggest it only. But later, coming back from France to Brussels, Belgium, Germany, and the next step will be Poland, Ukraine, and some other neighboring countries, especially aggressors country. For sure, because Vespa velutina showed a very huge adaptation to the environment of living. And what does it mean? Very good adaptation of Vespa velutina. I do show you just Vespa crabro, European hornet, which is living, as I said, in majority of hidden places. But Vespa orientalis is a very adaptable species and can live in very different conditions, can start the colony even in the presence of humans. For instance, if you have courtyard house and you have veranda, if you have a garden nearby, Vespa crabro, this species, will never start colony just near the humans. It can start colony just under the roof, so it's invisible. The queen doesn't like the presence of humans, but Vespa velutina, small Asian hornet, will start colony and has started to colony even very close distance, near 1 meter, near the humans, on veranda, inside the car in the stopping area, in parking slot, under the car, for instance, just somewhere in a children's garden, near some furniture in kindergarten, just outside, and on the tree, just at the basement of tree, on very low height, or somewhere between the trees, somewhere maybe even 2 meters over the ground, or somewhere on the top of tree, or even somewhere just very high height. For instance, just maybe 5-floor buildings somewhere on the roof, under the roof, and on the roof, and even on some electricity equipment as well, just on very, very high height. So that's why Vespa velutina is very adaptable species, can not prefer, but can adapt to different conditions, even noisy conditions, which another species doesn't like, and can survive and can give very big colonies, up to, with size of colony, up to 10 and 16 kilograms of a colony with larvae and adults. So that's why in many countries, such as Spain, France, already in Italy, there are very strict quarantine conditions, and there is special fighting against this Vespa velutina small Asian hornet, because small Asian hornet is hunting for honeybees. All these larvae inside, which are dead now, of Vespa velutina, were feeding on different meat of insects, and especially on honeybee bees, on adults of honeybees, because Vespa velutina adults do like to hunt for adults of honeybees, and they prefer, as it was not suggested, it was proven in many investigations, they're hunting for honeybees near the honeybee colonies, near the beehives, and they can reduce drastically the population of honeybees in apiary. In your apiary, if you are in Spain, if you are in France, and also they're stinging. They're very aggressive because they're making colony of a big size. So many individuals of Vespa velutina growing inside this colony, which can be up to 10 kilos, as I said. So that's why just by case, they can be irritated by humans, and they can be just by case, by occasion, they can attack humans. That's why they need very strict control by pest control workers. So that's why a lot of special activities are organized in France, especially. So many volunteers, many commercial wasp hunters are fighting against Vespa velutina. And continuation of this spreading is unknown. Probably Vespa velutina can be spreading in new areas like Germany, Poland, Ukraine, other neighboring countries, and can attack honeybees in these areas in the nearest years. If you have some species of wasps which looks like Vespa velutina, which are dark brown, or you can say black with yellow tip of abdomen, just put it in the box, put it in a small jar, in small box like that, in small jar like glass like that, dead individual, or you can fix it in alcohol. That dry individual is good enough. You can send it to me, to my Institute of Zoology of National Academy of Sciences. You can find in the description of my channel my address in Kiev, or I can give you my address on Nova Pochta in Ukraine, so you can send it quickly for 1 day inside this glass jar for identification. I can tell you, is this Vespa velutina small Asian hornet, or maybe another species at all. So you don't be worried about European hornet. European hornet is a natural native species in Ukraine and in Europe, but smaller Asian hornet is invasive species, dangerous invasive species. And finally, the continuation of the story of Vespa velutina is going on. Why? Because in the last year, 2022, specimens of Vespa velutina just recently has been found in United States of America, in Georgia state, in Georgia state, in Sabah, beekeepers collected Vespa velutina, some individuals by case, and some strong quarantine measures have been established in this area in Georgia state. But we don't know how it's spreading now, so it's under control. And let's see what's going on in the United States of America about Vespa velutina. Maybe this is the second species which been introduced to the United States, because third species. First one was European hornet. Second one is very aggressive. 2 years ago was introduced Vespa mandarina, giant hornet, giant Asian hornet, or killer wasp, killer hornet, murder hornet, Vespa mandarina, big size, but in general there are different sizes. I have some Vespa mandarina in my collection too. You can find it on my videos inside my channel. So size approximately the same for queen of European hornet, not too big one, but it has a special character, special coloration, and special size of shape of body, special shape of a head. So this very distinctively identified Vespa mandarina in comparison with Vespa crabro, with European hornet, with Vespa mandarina. Vespa mandarina is smaller. Vespa mandarina is a little bit bigger than European hornet, but Vespa velutina is a little bit smaller, but more dangerous. So two nests of Vespa mandarina have been found near Washington state, but they were destroyed. Some papers of entomologists have been published about this case, and we hope so that species and these nests have been eliminated in this area. But you never know how they survived during the summer, during the autumn and cold winter, because they are very adaptable species as well, especially because they have a social nest and they're hiding during the hibernation somewhere underground. So queens can survive during the strong winter with cold, with frost, with snow. So let's observe, let's watch for publications, let's watch for your apiaries, and you have some suspicion about Vespa mandarina or Vespa velutina in your area in United States, let me know. Let know to your closest colleagues entomologists. Send photographs on my email. You can find email in the description of this video, or you can send individuals in a small plastic jar or glass jar to me to Ukraine for identification. You are really always welcome. It doesn't depend from the country where you are. If you are in States, in Canada, you can send your samples for identification. If you are in Poland, Italy, in France, in Germany, in Britain, and you are interested, what is the species, send it to me, and I will give you identification of this individual. And even you are in Ukraine and some neighboring countries as well, you can send sample for identification. It can be very interesting. Interesting from taxonomical point of view, from economical point of view, because the finding of invasive species, not natural species of hornets in our area, especially like in Ukraine, if you can find Vespa velutina, they can think this is a great disaster, this is a great danger about distribution of these species at the present moment. We don't know, but if you have some questions, send your samples on my postal address. I can give you it in my private email, or you can find it in the description of my YouTube channel. Be careful, you can see here the front link of my YouTube channel, some links, Patreon link, and other links, and you can find my work address at the Institute of Zoology of National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. And don't forget I said about Patreon page. Patreon page. This is a page for donations. If you want to donate to Ukrainian Hornets for development of Ukrainian entomology about Hymenoptera, about parasitic and predaceous wasps, you're welcome to send your donations on my Patreon or join YouTube channel donators, patrons on YouTube channel as well. Different way. You can send it on my PayPal. Small donation for a cup of coffee. You're really welcome. You're really appreciated your kindness. And don't forget to stand with Ukraine, support Ukraine, support not only me, but support Ukraine with some humanitarian help as much as possible or as possible. I really appreciate the help of my friends, American friends who have sent already some donations to support activities in Ukraine, volunteering activities in Ukraine. Thank you very much to Elizabeth and other sponsors. I really appreciate your interest and activities. Stand with Ukraine, support Ukraine, and don't forget, Ukraine will win. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your attention to wasps, to bees. If you have questions, suggestions, and comments, write under this video in comment section or send me private email on my email in the description of this video. Thank you for your attention and my stream. Good luck. See you soon.
Hello my dear friends, basic greetings from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. If you have any questions about entomology, about insects inside your house, inside your flat, or maybe in your garden or orchard, so you can send me your private message on my email, and I will be very pleased to answer your questions, or maybe give you kind of advice how to get rid of these insects inside your house, or maybe in your orchard or garden. So as far as possible, I can try to be useful for you. But if you want to support my channel, so welcome to go to Patreon page. And this is special Patreon page where you can support my channel. So you can send a couple of your American dollars or just British pounds or French or just European euros on this account. So I will be very pleased to have you as a sponsor, and I will indicate you as a patron in the subtitles of my video as sponsor who supported video and supported entomological science on my channel. Thank you very much. Good luck and see you soon on my channel, and don't forget to subscribe and welcome to my Patreon page. Bye bye, see you soon on my channel and to be my sponsor.